usually agree, and I do kind of agree with what you're saying, but at what point does these men have to be accountable? Like, I'm not gonna keep taking it. They know when we don't like them like that. So if they're gonna give us things that we like to be around us, of course we're gonna do that. Like, so
So in other words, you're making the low integrity, low character argument.
no,
Yes, ma'am, you are.
no.
Yes, ma'am, you are. Because basically what you're saying is, look, if he gonna continue to give me something when he know I ain't gonna give him nothing, then why shouldn't I take it?
Okay, so
Is
at
that
that point,
that's the argument you're making?
no, I agree
Okay.
with you, but
Well,
at that
you
point, it's a
said
transaction.
hold on, no, no. You said no. There is no transaction because he's not getting what he wants.
He
See,
is if it's
no,
a
no, he's not. No,
transaction.
no, 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 he's not. See, this is where you guys start. This is where I hold you guys even more reprehensible because you're asking about accountability. And when do you have an accountability to something other than your own selfish desires?
Okay, so
No, 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 no. You can answer that question before you answer me a question. At what point do you have accountability to something beyond your own selfish desires?
That's a great question. Uh, Quickly, if you guys don't know, this is a show about our modern women thieves. All right. So Kevin Samuels is basically asking a lot of women how do they feel about being taken on expensive dates multiple times, knowing they don't want to have to do anything with the man, but still taking his time, resources, attention in exchange for nothing. So she's saying it's okay, but she agrees with him. That doesn't make any sense. Well, if you agree with him, then you don't agree with that statement. You assume that women shouldn't do this, right? Let's continue.
at all times.
Okay, if that's the case, then if a man wants a romance from you and you know he wants that, and you know you're not going to give it to him, and you know he's just doing this stuff to stay around you for the possibility that it could happen one day, and you know it ain't never gonna happen, at what point do you say, I should not be leading this man on, even though I've told him?
I mean, how is it leading them on if I already told them? If I
Okay.
tell you,
Well,
like, look, I'm not
then
interested
I
in
hope
you.
yours. Do you have any children?
I have one.
Son or a daughter?
I have a son.
I hope someone treats your son the same way. I hope your son likes a girl who has no interest in him and he cares about her. And you know that that girl has no interest in him, and I hope he spends all his money and your elderly home money. I hope he spends all of it. I'm not kidding, man. I'm not kidding. I am dead ass serious. I hope he bankrupts himself. So he's living with you.
Well, that's not gonna happen.
Well, yeah, but it will be okay though, because it would be his fault because he's just
It would,
following.
and you're right. It would absolutely be his fault, and I
No, I
would
said
tell
no,
him the
no, no.
same
I said
thing.
it would not be his fault.
No, yes, it would.
No, no. See, this is what I mean. This is what I'm telling you, gentlemen. This is why I tell you, you need to deal with women in a straight up, cold, and calculated way. Because when it comes right down to it, they are the ultimate survivors. And they will do what is in their best interest more often than not. And they will figure out any kind of logic to make it work. Make it work. Because, ma'am, ultimately, you're basically saying that if he's going to give it to me, and I tell him I don't want it, and he ain't going to get it, and if he still want to give it to me, that's on him. All right. I hope you want to live in a world like that.
We do.
Okay. And that is why 60%, 62% of you are single because there's no character. My grandmother, the women of my grandmother's generation, knew not to accept anything from a man that they didn't want anything to do with.
Have you guys heard that before? Even the men that are going to be watching this, and like even the small percentage of females that will be watching this, most of us have heard this, and if not directed towards us, directed towards other people. Don't take anything from a man that you are not sexually attracted to, you don't want nothing to do with, anything under those lines. Because clearly the man is doing it for a reason. Whether you are pretty and you think it's no reason, whatever the case may be, that's a transaction. And if you're willing to accept it without pulling out or without putting out, don't accept anything.
Men offered many things to women: cars, houses. I've dated women who are drop dead gorgeous, who back before I was on YouTube like this, men were offering them more than I could ever dream to have. Guys offering $30,000 to go down on her. I saw this. Offering homes, not cars, homes, just to travel. And she turned them down because these women had integrity. They had character. But in your example, take whatever a man's going to offer you.
Well, I mean, I personally don't do it, but
Does
at
not
the same
matter, man.
time,
But
it's
you
like,
condone it. You condone it. So that's the
I
get
mean,
the
if
back.
the
That's
man
the
is gonna
okay.
give it,
And that is why our community is where it is. Like it or not, the
okay, so
nation of it. No, I'm gonna say something. But several weeks back,
mhm,
there was a broadcast on the channel by many men from the Nation of Islam talking about the Kevin Samuels phenomenon or whatever. And
right.
Brother Dennis Sperling went over there. There's a quote that gets misinterpreted often, but the general quote was, "A nation can rise no higher than its woman." And this was a point of contention because the quote was been misinterpreted or misconstrued when it's saying that a nation can rise no higher than the moral position of its woman. And if we have women who are willing to do what you're saying, what does that bode for the ascension of our nation? What moral position does that woman have?
I mean, it's 2021,
I don't give it.
so
I asked you, ma'am, a specific question. Morals don't care what decade. What morals does that woman have?
I think women still have morals.
What
Next to none. And she can't even answer a simple question. She can't even answer a simple question. Close to none. Close to none. You have to have some type of integrity, some type of morals in your life. You can't just be willy-nilly walking through life and thinking you owe nothing to no one, and everyone owes you something. That is not how life works.
moral, ma'am? Don't play with me. I asked a very specific new
Well, I'm not
question.
understanding your
Ma'am,
question.
a nation can rise no higher than the moral position of its woman. So a woman who is willing to take something from a man who knows he wants something from her and she's not going to give it to him. Is that the morally right thing to do? To take something from somebody who's weak to you?
No, it's not the
Then you
morally
cannot
right
make
thing to
then
do.
you can't make this argument, ma'am, because it's an
Okay,
immoral argument. It's immoral.
it's
Now, split.
immoral.
Well, I mean, if you don't think it is, I'm willing to hear the argument, but I think it's immoral. You can tell
I
me
mean,
why
I
you
don't
think it's
think
okay.
it's. I'm not saying. I think it's okay when you're honest and upfront about it. If you're honest and you let him know that you're not interested in, sexual relations, and he still offers. Like, if you're asking him, okay, yes, that's wrong. If you're asking him because he likes you, you're playing into it. But
How
if
old are you
he's
again, ma'am? Seriously, how old are you?
you never asked, but I'm 33.
Okay. Did you happen to know? Did you grow up with your grandparents or great grandparents?
Yes, I did.
Um, is your grandmother still alive?
Yes, she is.
How old is she?
My granny is 87,
87. So your grandmother, she was born around the
1934.
34. All right, 34. So she was still born in the silent, in the late silent.
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
you think your grandmother and the women of her generation would have accepted something from a man under these circumstances?
Absolutely not. No, they
Yep,
wouldn't.
Were those women better women than today?
of course.
I mean, according to you, they
No,
are,
ma'am. I'm asking
but
you. No, ma'am. I'm asking you. Are the moral
mm,
fiber of those women better than the women today?
okay, I was gonna say, what exactly do you mean? The
Are they
moral
better? Are the
fiber
moral fiber? Yes.
okay, I agree with you. Yeah, the moral fiber.
Was the black community better? Not what was
I
happening
wouldn't
to the,
say
not what no 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 not what was happening to the black community. The black community, was it better? Meaning, was it safe for black people? Was it safe for black girls? Could you leave your doors open? Could you knock on your neighbor's house and get some sugar or
no,
some? Or,
not back in those days. No, you couldn't
excuse
because
me,
you
you are
had
out of.
uncles that
Oh,
were
hold on.
that were
Oh,
raised
fuck that
people.
bullshit right there.
It's
You are not gonna color purple my TV. That is some fucking bullshit. This is what I'm talking about. The color purpling of America. You're 33 years old and gonna talk about a time that you didn't. You can't make this shit up, people. This woman is 33 years old. And automatically she said the women were a different caliber of woman, a different moral character. And I asked you, it was the black community. And in her mind, all the men were dirty, rape, dirty, pillaging, nasty, color purple, Mr. Uncles. That's what's in so many of these young women's heads. This shit has been put in their heads from their mothers and programming. Your mom and them, your grandmama and them didn't tell you this stuff. And I'm old enough to remember that time that I'm talking about. And the world you're trying to say did not exist. Shut up. I get tired of you black women always trying to paint black men as lecherous. You know what? Fuck that. Let's do it. You want to be one of these women that keep playing black men as lecherous? Cool. Let's do it. You're talking to yourself. You gotta unmute yourself.
sorry.
Do you know how dangerous it is for a black woman to keep saying these things about black men? And you have a black son that has to grow up in this world.
Facts.
Facts. The poison you just tried to spew out is something your son is going to have to waddle through when he reaches his manhood.
But how is it poison if I've experienced it myself?
If you
How is it poison if I've experienced it myself? Oh man, well, let's hear the rest of this. I have to hear this.
that was that the okay, then that is your experience. When I said with the community, you tried to act like it was the entire community. I said, do we have a neighborhood that you could sleep with your door open? That if you needed to borrow some sugar or some honey or some milk or some hominy or whatever, you could do it. And the first mother flipping
Yeah,
thing
you
the
you
first thing out of your mouth was about your dirty ass uncle. That wasn't our community. That was your dirty ass uncle.
that's not
That was your dirty ass uncle. That was not our community. That is not the community that people died for. That is not the community that the Nation of Islam is talking about. And I get tired of you women that keep coming on here trying to do this shit to black men. Get off my phone. I feel sorry for your son.
Mm. So, guys, what do you think about this? Leave your thoughts and opinions in the comment section down below.